let's work the border for the shawl. I've worked some half double crochet slip stitches into the edge here, right along the rows. So as you're working the shawl, you're going to be seeing the work like this, working back and forth. But at the end, you will work a half double slip stitch in the very last stitch that you just worked. So the very last one, you'll chain one and then work that slip stitch along the border. And then you'll start to turn and work along the sloping angle of the shawl. This is the straight side that doesn't have any increases or decreases. So you'll start by working this way. You'll go on the whole entire shawl, turn a corner, and come back this way. So I'm working about one half double slip stitch in each row. So since we're looking at the work a little bit sideways here, we don't have these V stitches to work into like a normal crochet stitch. So as long as you work one of these into each row, you should be about good. And that's going to give you a stretchy shawl. If you work less than one stitch per row, it's going to tighten up and then you won't have a very stretchy shawl. This waffle stitch is very forgiving and stretchy and comfortable. But if you make a border that's too tight, you're gonna constrict that. So if you find that your border is getting too tight, go up a hook size and that should help you. Let's start here. So I've worked a half double slip stitch into one of the ridges, and I'm going to find a space to work into one of the valleys. I like to work in this little loop here. Let's see if I can poke my hook through the back of it just so you can see. I like to work into that loop there for the valleys. So I kind of just pick the same spot each time I see a valley and work a half double slip stitch. Now I'm coming up to a ridge, so I'll work a half double slip stitch into the ridge, and I like to pick the same spot in each ridge, which is this little loop at the very top of it here. It's a tiny bit hard to work into, so I use my finger to help me get that hook through. And then I'm in a valley again. So this loop here, you can work into that one if you want to. I like the one right next to it. And then another in the ridge. Use my finger to help me there. And then I just keep going along. Valley, ridge. And I think as long as you stick to a pattern that you can remember, pick a spot that you like to work into for each ridge and each valley, and go along the entire slope of the shawl, you will be just fine. Once you get all the way to the other end of your shawl, the other point, you're going to work 3 half double slip stitches in the very same space at the very corner of your work. That's going to help you round the corner. You'll then turn your work, and then you'll be working along the flat side of your shawl. This is going to be quite a bit easier to work into because you're going to not have any sloping at all. So this is same idea, working 1 half double slip stitch into the ridge, 1 into the valley, 1 into the ridge, 1 into the valley, and do that same pattern along the entire flat side of the shawl. When you come back to the end and you're meeting the end that you started the border on, you will just slip stitch into the very first chain that you ended your work on. So you ended your work on, I believe it's row 12 of the decreases, and you made a chain and then turned and started doing your half double slip stitches. So into that chain, you'll just slip stitch into that, and then you will cut your yarn and weave it in, and you'll have a beautiful border. It is quite reversible too. So you can see a bit of a like V stitches, almost like knit stitches on both sides of your work. It's not perfectly identical, but it looks very nice from both sides.